Hello everyone, this is Women's Grandmaster Sabina Foisor, and I'm here at the St. Louis Chess Club, and we have kids, well, the nights class, right? So for today, I've decided to prepare some of my own games, and I will not be showing you all of my games, but I'll be showing you some of the blunders that I made and some of the things that I missed, as well as things that maybe I didn't miss, because sometimes, you know, you don't want to just show your bad stuff. You want to show some nice things as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy them, and you'll be able to find things that I missed. It's tough sometimes as a chess player to show your losses, but I want to show you today that it's a process. You're going to make mistakes sometimes, but if you learn from them, you're going to get to become stronger and get better, right? And get to do them, maybe to do similar things in your own games as well. So this is the first position that I have for you. And actually I had black here. And what do you think about this position? Who is better?
White.
White is better?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because white has more space. Just more in the center. Well, black is very passive. Yeah.
But this is still an opening position, right? So it's not as bad for black, but certainly it's quite, white has some pluses, right? We have the central pawns. Black's better? No, black is not better. But this was, can anyone tell me what was the opening of this? Slav. But there's a bishop in G. No, it wasn't. How can it be 4 knights? 4 knights is E45, right? Black has a pawn. No. Black has a pawn in E6. Queen's Gambit, you're close. But white has a bishop fianchettoed. There's a bishop fianchettoed in G2. It's called fianchetto. Fianchetto. Okay. In English, it's called fianchetto. Okay, so there's a bishop in G2. So we have a Catalan. Anyone heard about the opening called Catalan? Good. Okay, so that's what we had. And I had made not the best decision when white pushed this pawn to E4. I made the wrong move, capturing here. And I thought I can equalize the position by pushing C5. When your opponent has the center, you do not want to let them have all that center, right? You want to make sure that you can counterattack it, and your pieces will do something. Right now, if you look at black's pieces, this knight is not doing so well in A6. Does it? No, so we need to help it get into play. So I thought C5 was the natural move here, because I'm going to open my bishop. If you take, my knight will come into play, and I was quite happy about the situation. Unfortunately, I missed a very simple tactics. What did I miss here? What did my opponent do? Try to think about what the ideas that are present in this position. Yes?
I guess he missed the fact that there are 2 pieces attacking it.
What do you mean? Like, what is my threat with C5? Okay, let's do that first. Yes. Bishop takes E4, or knight takes E4. I'm attacking this knight too, right? So let's try to think what white might want to consider doing about this knight. Yes? Knight takes knight. Okay, that's quite good. You get rid the knight from the attack. And now I have 2 choices, right? I can take with the bishop or with the pawn. In the game, I took with the bishop. With the pawn, so what can white do here if I had taken with the pawn? Someone who didn't say anything, yes. Bishop where? H6. Rook E8? Yes, I know, and I play rook e8. So you play bishop h6. And now what?
Well, now you control the monsters and not the king, so that's
Okay, so let's find another good move for white. Here, yes. Queen e4. Ooh, be careful, I have a bishop. Yes? Knight g5. Interesting. What is the threat of this move?
checkmate.
Checkmate, right? But also, we discover our bishop to b7. So when black is going to take here, our next move will be bishop takes b7. We have sacrificed a knight, got our bishop back, and now we have this fork. So what does black do? He has this intermediate move, right? What do we do now with white? Yes?
E4?
Queen e4, rook b8. Yes? Takes on c5, and we'll have a pretty great position with white. In the game, I realized what mistake I made, and I thought at least I'll not weaken my king, so I took with the bishop. But of course, the exact same idea happened to me. So I've always feared of sacrifices in h7. Here we do not have a sacrifice, right? We do not have the Greek gift, but we have a similar idea to the Greek gift that utilizes two separate ideas. And just because you have a knight in f6 that protects your king, doesn't mean you're always safe. As you can see here, I don't have the knight, now I have the bishop. I should be totally fine. But because I misplaced my pieces here, and I made the mistake of actually allowing the diagonal to be open, I ended up just losing this game. I mean, I kept playing, but obviously after bishop takes g5, bishop takes b7, this intermediate move, queen b3, and now takes, white has a big advantage. And of course, eventually it led to me losing the game. Okay, so you saw my first tough loss, and this wasn't really a long time ago, it was quite recent. So let's see another game that I missed something in. So basically here I had white, and I played in this position rook to f1. Let's try to understand what's happening in this position and find black's the best move. Who is better here? Yes?
Black's winning.
Why is black better?
Your king is in the corner, and I think he has more pawns than you.
Yes, the king is in the corner and black has an extra pawn. I do have maybe some compensation because his king is not doing so great either, but if I don't manage to actually attack it, it's not so good, right? Additionally, black has all of these pieces on the f-file, so that could give him some important tactical ideas. What could black do here to make his win very easy? Yes?
Is it a move?
It's a line. I mean, you want. What do you want to do?
Oh, maybe move the knight or something.
Move the knight. Well, where do you move the knight? Your queen is attacked, right? Yes.
Knight takes g3.
Knight takes g3. Okay. What do I do with white?
Knight takes.
Queen takes or pawn takes? I only have two choices. Let's check queen first. It's.
Queen takes f4. Yeah.
What do we do now?
Queen takes f.
Queen takes f1.
Yeah. He doesn't. No.
Rook takes. Okay. And nothing. Who's winning now? White is winning because even if you give me rook f2 check and you think I'm going to to go here and then you'll win my queen. No. I will take, and now I'm the one who stays with the extra material. Look, sometimes you have to still keep some pieces to win the game, right? You cannot sacrifice all of them. So obviously, you're not going to sacrifice your queen. You take here, right? Trade the queens first. I need to take back with the pawn, right? If I take rook takes f6, what's happening?
You take the rook.
Which one?
The F one.
No. We take this one, right?
Well, then I take
Our queen is attacked, right? In this position, white attacks both the rook in f8 and the queen in g3. So you get rid of the queen from the attack, and then, yeah. So of course, white has to take, and now what do? Just grab the rook. And in this position, black was able to trade all the pieces, get into a rook endgame with 2 extra pawns, and black should be able to win, right?
Yeah.
My opponent missed this. He played something else and eventually still won, but I just thought it's a nice position to show. Anyways, I ended up losing. I had white. This was kind of a painful loss for me, this next position that I will be showing you. I was playing in the Olympiad representing the US in 2014, and I had at this moment 5 out of 5. I won 5 games, and we were playing against France, and I had a very good game. I was better, and then suddenly I started forgetting about my pieces. And what do you think about this position? Who would you say is better here?
Black.
Black is better? Why is black better in this position? Yes?
He's not on the back row.
Excuse me?
Oh, white.
Okay, you're changing. Just tell me the reason. It can be either one. I don't mind, but I need to hear a reason why one of the sides is better. What do we look at to figure out whether white is better or black is better? Yes? Count pieces? Black's pieces are all kind of on backs, badly placed on the back rank. Yes? What else did you say?
Not really doing it.
They don't seem to be doing so much. Okay. Yes?
Even the black pawn is pinned.
Black pawn in b4 is pinned. Very nice to see that idea. I was aware of that. What else? I am white in this position.
A3. Play A3.
Ooh, what?
A3.
Pawn a3. Interesting. That's an interesting move here. Yeah. It's quite an interesting move.
You need to promote.
What is black's threat in this position? Yes?
To take your knight.
No, he doesn't want to take my knight because, as someone mentioned here, right, that pawn is pinned, right? So that pawn cannot take my knight. But that is an idea. That is an idea that black has to keep in mind. And I have to keep in mind too because I left my knight hanging there, right? What is black's threat in this position? Which I missed. I did not look for threats. So hopefully this lesson will be good for you because you will learn from me and you will look for your opponent's threats. Yes?
Bishop E5.
Bishop?
Bishop A5.
A5. B5. What's the idea?
So the pawn's not pinned anymore, and you're
It's an interesting move, but the thing is my knight can capture it if I want to, right? And then I get rid with my knight from the attack and everything is fine. The idea that black has in this position, which I missed, yes?
knight takes D6.
No. I mean, okay, that's an idea, certainly, yeah. But also, anyone else has any idea before I show this? Which one? Take the rook? The pawn in d6, yes. Is knight d7. Black's idea and threat here is knight d7, which I completely missed. There's a tactical idea present. So what they are doing with knight d7 is not only they attack my bishop, they also protect the rook in b8, which means just because they move the knight, it doesn't mean they only have a threat with the knight. Because the knight protects the rook, what is their threat besides the bishop? Yes? B takes c3. So basically, in this position, I ended up playing rook e to d1. I thought I'm protecting my pawn in d6 because I thought that's the threat, and that's, you know, a strong piece that I have in the position. I do not want to lose it. All my pieces are placed greatly, or at least I thought so, but they are not really. Just because your pieces look passive, it doesn't mean that you cannot have threats. And that's what my opponent showed me. As soon as she played knight d7, what can I do? I'm going to lose a piece. No, I ended up playing more because I couldn't get myself to resigning. Also, when you play in a team, you don't really want to lose too fast because then your teammates will be feeling like they have to win, and it's kind of tough for the match. I ended up playing more, but eventually, unfortunately, I ended up losing because I'm losing a piece. There's nothing that I can do about it. One of these two pieces will be lost. So make sure that you when you see a position, you evaluate it, and even if it seems worse for you, don't immediately think that, okay, you know, it's over. No, it's never over. Okay. Now, as you can see, I've prepared a lot of losses because I really think I lost this one too. Okay. I'm not afraid of sharing my losses because I've learned a lot of ideas, and I think a lot of us are often scared to share our losses, and then we just punish ourselves too much, you know? If you are ready to go over your losses, you're already showing signs of improvement. So, in this position, who do you think is better?
White.
White is better? Why is that?
No bishop, and then the rook is close. Like
Pair of bishop, and what else? Excuse me? Black?
the rooks are biting on raw.
Right.
The white bishop.
Okay.
I mean the.
I never heard that expression.
I mean the white rook.
Okay.
You tactics.
You see a tactic? What is it?
Rook takes b8 and then knight a6.
Rook takes b8 and then knight a6. Well, if rook takes b8, I'm forced to take with one of my rooks. So which one of the rooks am I going to take back with? The rook on b4, so you don't have that fork. Okay. So in this position, I thought I'm going to try to escape this difficult position of my knight in b8. As you all kind of pointed out, my knight in b8 is not doing so great, right? I'm a little bit passive with that knight. And I thought I was ready to improve its position. And instead of considering maybe like trying to capture here, right? I mean, it's not so good to give up your pair of bishops, but the position is closed, so all the white has the pair of bishops is not as bad for me. Instead, I thought I can just trade my knights. What did I miss? Let's give everyone a little bit of time to think about this. What seems to be the problem of black's position? A lot of pieces are hanging, right? This rook in b4, there's a discovery here, right? There's a pin here. Yes? Who wanted to say something? Yes?
Me?
Yes?
So knight takes d7
Knight takes d7. Okay.
for the right.
And the idea is?
No,
Okay, yes.
bishop d5.
Bishop where? G5.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Can I play queen c7? Or maybe bishop e7?
So queen c7, 96.
So why don't you play knight e6 immediately? Why don't you play knight e6 immediately? You said knight e6.
I see like a.
Oh, you said knight a6.
No, then it would just take the rook. Yeah. I said 55.
Look at this move, knight e6.
Oh. I don't see it. Oh, I see it.
Do you see it? What's happening? Why am I giving up a piece with white? What's the future of this? The reason of this sacrifice? Yes.
Maybe the c6 knight.
So what does white do here? Yes?
Queen takes c6.
Queen takes c6. Protects the rook in e8, which was my idea. I thought knight d7, right, is going to attack the rook. I'll trade the rook and then I'll be fine. I'm trading an active piece of white's. But unfortunately, now I've just lost a pawn. And guess what? The rook is still there. It's still attacking me. And it's with tempo. So, okay, I ended up playing a little bit more, but eventually I lost here. This was a game that I played quite poorly, actually, and finally I was able to get somehow of a safe position until I missed a tactical idea, and you guys found it, so well done. Okay, finally, let's see one game that I actually won, okay? So, yay! I actually won a game. I mean, obviously, I've tried to choose more losses because I wanted this lesson today to give you some confidence that just because you lose, you don't need to give up chess or you need to feel bad on yourself or whatever, okay? Alrighty, so, who is better in this position?
Black.
Black. Huh, why is that?
Once king structures blown up.
Really?
Yeah, black's pieces are dead.
Don't I have with white an extra pawn?
Yeah. I think white. Yeah, but
How do we evaluate a position? Okay, let's see this. This is important. You cannot just base your judgment on some random facts. Seriously. So we need to base our judgment on the position, on the things that are happening on the board. What's the first thing we're looking at in a position?
pawn structure.
No. King safety. King safety. Which of the two kings is safer?
Black safer.
Maybe black safer, but white's king is totally fine too. I mean, how will you bring your pieces to attack me? Right? He's not being attacked. I have a lot of pawns pushed, indeed, but there's no piece that can reach my king anytime soon. Okay, then what's the second thing we're looking at? Material. So it seems like I'm doing better here with white, no?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next thing we're looking at?
Pawn structure.
Pawn structure. Okay, let's look at pawn structure. Whose pawn structure is better?
Black.
Black's. Why?
Because
What? Okay, so let's discuss something. When you look at pawn structure, what are the important things that you should consider? Because pawn structure is too broad. We need to narrow it down on some subsections. Yes?
pawn islands.
Pawn islands. Oh, I would say the first thing you should look at is center and space. First, in my opinion. Because especially if the position is closed or if you have the center, those are the first things that pop up in your mind, should pop up first. So in this case, it seems like white has more space, don't you think? I mean, these pawns are more advanced, they're restricting you, right? And then, yes, after that, you look at pawn islands, and I agree with you. I do have some pawns here, f3, f5, h3 that are isolated and potentially weak. But you also have to attack them, right? Which pieces of yours are going to attack my weaknesses? The queen only, right? And I'm well protected. Okay, so pawn structure, yes, I do have some weaknesses, but they are not easily attackable by black's pieces. Also, I have more space. Okay, and I have a majority on the queen side too. Although it looks blockaded for now, just imagine an endgame. If I push some b4, b5, right? In an endgame, king and pawn endgame. You will take with one of your pawns, and then I will have a passed pawn. That's an interesting idea to keep in mind. Anyways, so after we look at the pawn structure, what else do we look at? Yes? You can look at development, yes. What else? Yes? One of you? What? Space. That was part of the pawn structure, right? Center space, like pawn structure, you look at center space weaknesses. And weak squares too, you can add there as well. Yes? Material, we looked at second thing. Yes? Yes. Placement of pieces. Good, well-placed pieces. And you can also look at pair of bishops. If you have the pair of bishops, then of course you can look at that as well, and that can be a plus if the position is open, or maybe a minus or useless if the position is blockaded. But here we don't have that. So placement of pieces. Okay, whose pieces are better placed in this position? Yes? White's pieces. I mean, I have a knight here. This doesn't do so much, but it's an outpost. Unfortunately, it doesn't do as much, though. I have to agree. It doesn't do as much, but it might be helpful. You'll see in a second. I have my rook on the file. I have queen quite okay. How are black's pieces doing? This bishop is somewhat trapped for the moment. This rook as well. So, what do I do in this position with white? Do I have any pieces that are not placed so well? Yes. No, one of you, yeah. The bishop, okay. So what do I do? My opponent played queen g3 here. Like you guys were telling me, I have weaknesses. He thought he can go and attack them. He played queen g3 here. What did I do? Yes. Bishop h2. He took the pawn. Why to move? Yes? Okay. Okay. Rook h2. Trapping the queen, right? Now you can see why that pawn in h3 was not so weak. I attracted his queen to go there, and then I just won it quite easily, right? If he didn't do this, of course, I wouldn't have won so easily, but I took care of my pieces. I tried to improve the position of my bishop, and I attracted him to go for a random pawn, which ended up trapping his queen. Was this nice?
Yeah.
Not as nice as those games I lost, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is another game that I won. It's quite nice. Okay. So let's try to evaluate this position. I have black. And it's white to move here, but first we evaluate the position, and then we'll see what has happened. Black is much better.
I feel like it's equal.
It's about equal. This position is about equal. I mean, I have some attack on the on the queen side, but my opponent also has some pieces active there. And in this position, we were both in time trouble, and this was played the U.S. Championship years ago, and my opponent played the following move. She was in time trouble. She barely had any time. And she thought she's going to attack my weakness here in e6. What did she miss? It's not a checkmate. Think about it. What has happened when the bishop moved from c2? Yes?
It stops defending the knight on a4.
The knight is still defended by the bishop, right?
I thought you said the bishop would take on.
Oh, no. She's attacking here, but she's not going to take it immediately. She maybe wants to trade the queens first and then take the pawn. Yes?
Rook c1.
Rook c1, yes. Check. It was very tough. So after that, of course, I'm winning. So back rank can be a big issue, not only when you're mating, but sometimes you can win some material as well. Okay.
You won this game?
This game I won as well, yeah. I have to win. I have to show some winning games too, right? Or else you guys will think I'm just losing everything. Why am I teaching you here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am white in this position, and I want you to take a look at the position and try to understand who is better here. We have a queen and rook endgame, and who is better? Yes.
I feel like white's better, even though white's down a pawn. White has some attack on the king side.
Yes. White has some attack on the king's side, and white's pieces are more active than black's. Also, they look coordinated a little bit. The queen and the rook are looking together at black's king, whereas black's queen, for the moment, is still stuck over here, right? And the queen and the rook, they don't attack together. They're just, for the moment, really uncoordinated, I like to call it. Yes? I have some ideas like that. I started with this check first. My opponent only has one move. What is it?
H8.
King h8. If my opponent plays king g8, what's happening?
Rook takes h6.
I can take in h6, and the fact that you do not have your pieces coordinated to actually threaten a mate, yeah, I mean, my king maybe looks weaker, but because of the way the pawns are placed, you don't reach my king. You only have one check here or here, and then that might be it, right? What do we do now? Yes? Rook g2. If you play rook g2, can I try to play rook queen to f6 to offer a queen trade and defend? Okay. Yes? Queen f7. Interesting. What is your threat with that move? Somehow checkmate on g7, but you don't have a threat, right? You cannot play without threats. It can get dangerous if black activates his queen. Think about it. If you play queen f7, maybe I can give you this check, queen to g5. Your queen is away from here, right? And suddenly, maybe I have some checks, maybe some threats that you cannot defend. Yes?
If your opponent plays queen g5, you're just going to take it.
No. He said that in this position we play queen f7. Obviously, I would not play queen g5 myself here because I know I'm pinned. He said queen f7 in this position. Okay, that's why I said queen g5. Let's make sure of that, okay? Yes? Yeah. f6, very nice. Double exclam move. What is my threat with this move? Queen takes g7 mate, right? So what are some of black's defenses? Yes?
Queen f8 or g8.
Okay, so my opponent can take the pawn first. You should think of that first, right? Then you should think of some queen here, I guess, or queen g8. Sounds good. He gave me a check here first, and now let's look in this position at those moves, because, okay, it really doesn't matter if the check is happening or not. Okay, so let's look at queen g8 first. What do we do after queen g8? Yes?
Rook take H.
Rook takes h6. Oh,
Yeah, H6.
pawn takes h6?
No,
No?
Rook takes H.
I know. Pawn takes. I take back.
Check.
Queen
Queen take.
takes h6. Queen h7.
F7.
Look what happened to you. Check. Oh. Check, and now I have a counter check. You see, rook c4 was there for a reason, right? So after queen here, who is winning now? Black. So I was attacking, but I have to be very careful how I'm continuing these things, because if the queen goes to g8, oopsie, he might want to play queen h7, so we have to be very cautious about that. What do we do here? Yes.
Pawn takes G7.
Pawn takes g7. Okay, queen takes g7.
Rook takes H6.
Rook takes h6, check. King g8.
Queen E8 check.
Okay, what does black do? After queen e8 check,
Queen F8 and then rook check.
rook h8 or rook g6. You can do rook g6 too here, right? Well done. Or rook h8, and regardless you win the queen. Very good. So what about if he plays queen f8? I think we don't need to look at this anymore because it's exactly the same thing, just, right? F takes g7, you're forced to take back, and we have the same. So my opponent took with the queen in f6, yes?
Rook takes H6.
Rook takes h6. Very good. What does black do?
King G8.
Okay.
And then Queen E8.
Once again, we're not trying to go checks around here. If you go there, it's just over, because now, right? Yes. So why was I winning here although I had a pawn down?
You had
My pieces were more coordinated, and although my king seemed dangerously placed without much protection, black's pieces were not coordinated, and they were not able to get me into any checks or threaten any mates. I was first, and I also had the help of a pawn that could completely open up the position of black's king. Good? Okay, it feels good to see some winning games, right? Okay. Let's look at this position. This is more like it takes a couple of moves to find the winning idea, but let's try to evaluate this position and see who is better here. Black is better in this position. Are you sure? Are you sure? Black is better, but why? So now you learned a new word, coordinated, so you're going to use it all the time, right? Good. Good. Yes, so black's pieces are looking in the direction of white's king. White's king with these pawns being pushed is weak, right? And black already has like the knight close by, the queen, the rook active, right? So we have a lot of pieces looking at black's king. I'm sorry, at white's king. So in this position, of course, I had a threat, right? I played a5, so my opponent took the pawn. What should we do with black in this position? What is our winning idea? Yes?
Knight G4.
Knight g4. What is your threat with knight g4?
Knight E3.
Knight e3. And then if I take, you want to checkmate me in g2, right? What about if you play knight to g4? What about if I take your queen or your rook, and then when you play this, can we try to find a defense for white not to get checkmated?
What about take?
No, if we take with the pawn, there's a checkmate.
Oh.
So, don't forget about your own king in the process of attacking. What has opened when my knight went away from f6?
Oh, queen d6.
Queen d6. So in this position, white is able to trade your most important piece in the attack, and then white should be winning. So when you attack, just because your opponent's king is really weak, you shouldn't just think about how you do things. You have to think about some ways that they might have to avoid the things that you want to do. So in this position, right, he has a threat, your rook. Do we need to hurry here with black? Is it the type of position that we need to hurry to checkmate our opponent?
No.
Why not? Yes?
Because you are already the pieces are already coordinated. His position is already weak, so you can do it you can place your attack whenever you want.
His position, his king's position is already weak here. White's king's position is already weak, and he doesn't have pieces that can come easily to protect his king. Because of the pawn structure, because of the placement of pieces, most of his pieces are on the queen side, and then this one is just going to be restricting the king from exiting, which anyways it doesn't matter. So we do not need to hurry. We have sufficient time to bring more pieces into the attack. Yes?
Rook g7.
I didn't put g7. I brought the rook to e7, and look at those arrows that I prepared for you guys. Rook to e7, and now what? I mean, my arrows already point out to my idea, right? I'm taking my rook from the attack, and I'm slowly bringing it into play. And I want to bring it to e3. The same idea as who said it earlier? Someone. The idea with knight g4, e3. Just that now we're bringing the rook with a similar idea to sacrificing g3, and of course you cannot take because we'll have the mate. My opponent played here queen takes b5, rook there. He came queen b8 to defend the threat, and obviously I'm very lucky because my knight controls, I mean other pieces control too, but controls any potential checks, so I'm not really worried about that. And what did I do now? You probably can find more moves that win here, but some ideas, right? I have all the pieces coordinated, right? I mean, just need a little bit to have some threat. Yeah.
Pawn take h4.
Pawn to h4. f4, you mean?
No, takes h4.
Pawn takes h4. Interesting. That's an interesting continuation, certainly. I chose to make this other move. Oopsie. I chose to do this, to finish the game a little bit faster. Closing the action of my opponent's queen, and now I want to take in g3. And do not be scared that you're weakening your king. There are no ways to get to my king, right? My knight is an amazing protector of my king. And then my opponent offered a queen trade, and of course I did trade them, right? I traded them?
No.
No, I was hoping to hear a big no. No, of course I didn't trade. And by the way, did you see that knight in b3? I didn't even think of taking it. I went rook takes g3, yeah. And then took checkmate. Thanks for watching.